Why did this ancient culture carve a giant face into the side of a mountain, only to hide it for 1,000 years? This is the Atacama Giant, a colossal sculpture so large that it was literally lost to time. But why was it hidden, and what secrets can it tell us about the ancient world if we can decipher them? Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel where we explore the ancient world and bring history to life. Today we're going to be exploring one of the most mysterious places in South America, a place where we found a giant face carved into the side of a mountain, a face that had been hidden from the modern world for over 1,000 years. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and let's jump right into today's episode. In order to understand why this artifact was such a big deal when it was discovered and what it could teach us about the people who made it, we first have to understand where it is located. The Atacama Giant is located in northern Chile in the Atacama Desert. It sits high up in the mountains on the side of a cliff face. And when I say cliff face, I don't mean like a rock monolith that's just kind of jutting out from the side of a hill. I'm talking about a full-on mountainside. The mountain itself is called the Cerro Pan de Azúcar, or Sugar Loaf Mountain, and the face is about 48 feet tall. That's the size of an Olympic swimming pool. In fact, according to National Geographic, it's the largest anthropomorphic figure ever found in the Americas. When I say anthropomorphic, I mean a piece of artwork that has a human-like form. For example, a statue or carving of a person or something that takes on the shape of a human being. Anthropomorphic figures are very common in ancient cultures across the globe, but this one really stands out. So the mountain is massive, but why is this considered an archaeological site? If you go to Google Maps, you can see that it's not some huge monument off in the middle of nowhere. It's actually quite close to two major cities. The town of Chiu Chiu is just east of the mountain, and the city of Calama is to the north. Also, there's a road that runs right past the base of the mountain. Despite how close the site is to modern-day society, it was only discovered by modern archaeologists in 2017. This is because the giant face had been completely covered by loose rock debris, and nobody knew it was even there until researchers from the University of Tarapacá came along. They used ground-penetrating radar to scan the mountainside and discovered a strange cavity. This led them to start excavating the mountain to reveal what lay beneath. After months of hard work, they were able to remove enough rock to find that the cavity was actually a giant face. At first, all they had was the face, but they continued their excavations and found a body as well. As they continued, they also uncovered several petroglyphs, which are basically just cave paintings on rock surfaces. Now, this isn't the first time we've talked about petroglyphs here. We actually did a whole video on them a while back, and I highly encourage you to check them out. But petroglyphs are nothing new. They're a super common method of communication for early humans around the world. Some of the most famous examples come from places like Australia and southern Africa, where there are thousands of years-old petroglyphs depicting animals, geometric shapes, and other symbols. But why would these ancient people carve a giant face into a mountain and then cover it up again? And how old is it anyway? Well, that's where things get interesting. The Atacama Giant was created by the pre-Hispanic Chinchorro culture. The Chinchorro people lived in the region between roughly 7,000 BC and 1,500 BC. That's 9,000 years ago. They're actually known for being the oldest civilization in North and South America, and they're possibly the oldest in the world. These people were living in a settled community, growing crops and raising livestock, and doing all those things that usually accompany settled communities. They were also practicing ceremonies centered around astronomy, building pyramids, and creating giant geoglyphs, which are just massive pieces of artwork laid out on the ground. If you want to learn more about these guys, I highly recommend checking out a video about the amazing Nazca lines. But the thing about the Chinchorro culture is that we don't know much about it. You see, unlike cultures like the Egyptians or the Greeks, the Chinchorro people never wrote anything down. Everything we know about them is based on archaeological findings. And the reason for that is because they didn't have a writing system. Writing is obviously a monumental part of human history, And it's amazing to see how writing systems popped up in multiple different civilizations all around the world at roughly the same time. But the Chinchorro people weren't like other civilizations. They didn't leave behind any records. And since they didn't write anything down, it makes it extremely difficult to study them. Which brings us back to the giant face on the mountain. What is the significance of this structure? Why would these people spend so much time and effort carving a giant face only to cover it up? And what does it mean for our understanding of the ancient world? Well, the Chinchorro people were obsessed with astronomy. All throughout their settlements, they left behind pieces of artwork and artifacts depicting stars, constellations, and planets. They even built structures like the El Muerto Pyramid with astronomical alignments. For example, according to a press release from the University of Tarapacá, the team of archaeologists responsible for finding the giant face believes that the site may have served as a type of calendar. The head would have marked the solstices, and the body would have marked the equinoxes. Essentially, the face of the mountain would have acted like a giant sundial, casting a shadow across its features as the sun moved through the sky. There are even reports that certain cavities on the body of the giant may have once held ceremonial items. Unfortunately, they've been looted, so there's nothing left inside them today. But the idea that this giant face was used as a calendar is really interesting. This fits in with other evidence showing that the Chinchorro people took great care to record and understand the cycles of the cosmos. But it also shows that they didn't do it in the way we might expect. Instead of creating detailed records in the form of writing, they chose to use caves, mountains, and flat plains to build their own personal star maps. Now, we've looked at other examples of this in recent years, especially in South America, where sites like Pumapunku and others show clear astronomical alignments. But those sites were built by later cultures. The Chinchorro people lived thousands of years before anyone else in the region. For that reason, scientists are struggling to wrap their minds around how a culture this advanced could have existed so long ago. They're trying to determine if there was a larger civilization that predates everything we currently know about, including the Egyptians and Sumerians. The giant face is already fascinating on its own, but when you consider the possibility that it's older than everything else in the area, it becomes much more intriguing. The entire landscape seems to be filled with carvings and petroglyphs, and now scientists want to do a full survey of the region. If you look at satellite images of the area, you can see that there are tons of other drawings on the mountainside. Now they're too small to make out from space, but scientists believe that if they take a closer look, they may be able to uncover more evidence of astronomical alignments. It's possible that we're looking at an entire star map, a giant depiction of the night sky laid out on the side of a mountain. But we just don't know yet. There's still so much to learn. For example, scientists haven't even properly dated the giant face. It could be thousands of years older than we currently think. Scientists are planning to return to the site soon to do more research, and hopefully they'll be able to uncover more information about this amazing discovery. I'll keep you updated if anything new comes to light. But for now, we can marvel at the fact that this place even exists, and wonder what else the ancients left behind that we just haven't found yet. So I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think it means? Do you think it was used as a calendar? Do you think it's related to the stars? Or maybe you have some other explanation. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the bell icon to stay up to date on all future episodes. I've got some really cool stuff coming up that I think you'll enjoy, but in the meantime, be sure to check out my video on the origins of writing and how the world would be different if humans never developed a writing system. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.